What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be taking a look at Aurora Cannabis, and we're going to be taking a look into our crystal balls and be predicting how much will Aurora Cannabis be worth in 10 years. So a few factors are going to come into play. One is going to be, how is the world going to react to marijuana becoming legal? Two is Aurora Cannabis. I'm going to be looking at how this company has been growing year over year in the past 4 years. Three, how much of the market do we think Aurora Cannabis can capture within the next 10 years? And four, whether Aurora Cannabis will be a company that still exists in the next 10 years, or whether it's going to be a company that got bought out by another company. So we're going to be taking a look at Aurora Cannabis, and I'll be giving you guys my prediction as to how much I think Aurora Cannabis will be worth in 10 years. Also, let me know in the comment section what you guys think Aurora Cannabis will be worth in 10 years. And before we get this video started, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, and smash that subscribe button, and let's get this video started. So before we get started with the video, I just want to take a look at my previous video, which is Aurora Ready for a Run. And I made this video on Friday, and I pretty much talked about all the reasons as to why I think Aurora Cannabis was getting ready for a run. And as you can see today, Aurora Cannabis is actually up 4.4%. I saw a couple buy signals, and so far I'm correct, but I did not mention how long that run can be. It could easily have been a 1-day run, a 2-day run, and that's about it. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit here. And first of all, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this video. I know it didn't get a lot of views, 1,044 views, but I'm just surprised to see 103 likes and 0 dislikes. Now, maybe the fact that I'm mentioning this, someone's going to go there and dislike it, but I just appreciate you guys showing all the support on my video. And if you guys really want to check out why on Friday I thought Aurora Cannabis was going to make a nice run, you guys could check out that video. I explained to you guys the exact reason as to why I thought Aurora Cannabis was going to run. So right here we have Aurora Cannabis charts, and as you could see on my previous video, I was talking about the Bollinger Bands and the 50-day moving average. Right here they were going to cross. At least when I was looking at the video, they haven't crossed yet. Right here they crossed, so as you could see, Aurora Cannabis is now making a nice run. Also on Friday I saw a buy signal when I was looking at the MACD lines, because they were crossing right here, and that's exactly what happened. We had a buy signal, but unfortunately now the MACD lines are continuously crossing up here, so we're kind of getting a sell signal, which potentially we might already be seeing a decline right here. But we're only getting one sell signal. The Bollinger Bands and the 50-day moving average hasn't crossed yet, so there's only one sell signal, versus on Friday I was getting 2 buy signals. Today I'm only getting 1 sell signal. The MACD lines here are crossing, and I'll give you guys an example right here when the MACD lines were crossing, giving us a sell signal. And as you can see right here, Aurora Cannabis had a nice little dip, had a buy signal here, had a nice run. We have a sell signal now, so we're going to see how this plays out. So of course today we're going to be talking about an article, which is where will Aurora Cannabis be in 10 years. So in this article, they're pretty much talking about in 10 years, which would be in year 2029, where Aurora Cannabis will be. So I'm just going to summarize it real quick before I'm going to actually read the full article, because I do think it was a very well written article. But before I read the article, I'm just going to kind of give you guys my opinions. So pretty much in 2029, their prediction is that the cannabis industry will be worth about $100 billion. And that Aurora Cannabis will capture about 5% of that market. I wouldn't be surprised if Aurora Cannabis can capture even 10% of that market. But another thing I want to look at is how consistently Aurora Cannabis has grown year over year. So let's look at something like gross revenue. In year 2016, Aurora Cannabis had $1,439,000 in gross revenue. 2017, $18,067,000. 2018, $55,196,000, and 2019 I do expect Aurora's total revenue to grow as well. So you could see the huge jump from 2016 to 2017 to 2018. And also if you're looking at gross profit, it also goes up from $2,200,000 to $16 million to $43 million year over year. And of course 2019 I do expect that to grow as well. And then also we're going to take a look at their balance sheet, which we will talk about their total assets, and it's the same thing. 2016 they had about $18 million in total assets. 2017 $322 million, 2018 $1.9 billion, and I do expect that to grow as well in 2019. So you could see that year over year, Aurora Cannabis has been growing. So if they continue to grow at this pace until year 2020, what will really matter as well is how many more shares will Aurora continue to dilute, because it seems to me every quarter Aurora is diluting even more shares. But I could give a guess with their market cap right now. Aurora Cannabis is sitting at a market cap, and this is Canadian dollars, of $10.27 billion market cap. And let's say in 10 years the marijuana industry is worth about $100 billion, and let's say Aurora captures 5 to 10% of that market cap. That would mean that would be having gross revenue of about $10 billion every year. With a gross revenue of 5 to $10 billion, I wouldn't be surprised to see Aurora Cannabis market cap be at least $100 billion by then. So that would mean Aurora Cannabis can grow by at least 10 times. I think it's a very high prediction. I mean, a lot of people would love that. So realistically, if that were to happen, and Aurora stopped issuing more shares, that means they kept their shares at 1.01 billion, which who knows what will happen. But if Aurora stopped issuing more shares and their market cap grew by 10, that would mean that Aurora Cannabis would be worth over $100 per share. So that's Aurora Cannabis in 10 years, which I do think is very possible. I honestly don't think these numbers will continue to grow at this pace. Eventually, we might start to see some slowdown. I think we're just starting to see some serious growth right now since we're in the early stages. But in 10 years, I do think Aurora can at least grow by 5 times. So I would say Aurora Cannabis has the possibility, if they stop issuing more shares, to go up to $50. And if they do capture 10% of the market, they could grow up to $100. So another thing that this author did mention is that there's 2 possibilities that are very unlikely to happen. One of them was Aurora will be completely out of business in 10 years, which the author also said was very unlikely, and I can agree with that. And the second possibility was Aurora would be completely bought out by another company, which could be the case for Canopy Growth and Chronos, since they've already given up so much of their company to a company like Constellation Brands and Altria. So who knows, maybe in the future, one day Constellation Brands will fully own Canopy Growth. One day Altria will fully own Chronos Group. But the way that Aurora Cannabis is kind of setting themselves up right now, it's very unlikely because they're not willing to give up so much equity in their company. So I think that would be a very unlikely case. I think I've pretty much covered all the points that this author has. There's my guess. Both of them are best case scenarios. But I think best case scenario, like very best case scenario, Aurora Cannabis market cap can increase by 10, which would be 100 billion. And then just a good bullish case, Aurora Cannabis could go up by 5. That's if they capture 5% of the market, which would make it around $50 per share. And that's just a guess. Nothing is ever 100%. Just remember, this is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes, so always do your own due diligence. Now, I think I'm going to get started with the article. So in less than 6 years, Aurora Cannabis has built a cannabis empire. It's an empire that stretches across 5 continents to 24 countries. Aurora now claims the highest production capacity in the entire cannabis industry, and the company's sales are growing by 21%, not year over year, but quarter over quarter. But that's where Aurora has been and is now. So where will the company be in 10 years? There's no way to know for sure. Of course, I think, however, that we can make some educated guesses. So what could happen but probably won't? So let's look at these 2 scenarios that I don't think are likely to happen. First, I don't think Aurora will be out of business in 10 years from now. Why? Momentum. The global cannabis industry has a lot of momentum right now. More than 30 countries across the world have legalized medical cannabis, with 2 countries, Canada and Uruguay, also legalizing recreational use of marijuana. Other countries are considering legalizing cannabis, and most of the cannabis markets across the world are still in their early stages, so there's a lot of room for growth. So Aurora has a lot of momentum right now too, so that makes sense considering the company is one of the biggest cannabis producers in terms of production capacity, market cap, and sales. Importantly, a lot of Aurora's momentum is international markets, an area where the company arguably ranks ahead of all of its peers. In my view, there's simply too much momentum for the industry overall and for Aurora itself for it to all fizzle out within 10 years. The second scenario that I don't think will happen is for Aurora to be absorbed by a bigger company. Yes, this is a possibility. I suspect that Canopy Growth will become a division of Constellation Brands in the future. I'll be surprised if tobacco giant Altria doesn't fully gobble up Cronos Group down the road. Perhaps Aurora will join the ranks, but it would require a 180-degree change in direction of Aurora's management team. So billionaire investor Nelson Peltz is encouraging Aurora to not give up significant equity stakes as Canopy and Cronos have done. This approach could enable Aurora to deliver greater returns to shareholders over the long run. It also allows Aurora to partner with multiple companies outside of the cannabis industry. Aurora's executives and board of directors appear to be in alignment with this strategy that Peltz is advocating. So my prediction. So where will Aurora be 10 years from now? If it's not out of business and not a part of a bigger corporation, my prediction is that the company will be a successful player in a really big market. I think that Aurora will be the top cannabis company in a fast-growing European cannabis market. Cannabis market research Brightfield Group projects that the European medical cannabis and cannabidiol CBD market will soar to nearly 8 billion by 2023. I wouldn't be surprised if the market is 15 billion or more by 2029. So Aurora already ranks as a leader in Germany and most important European medical cannabis market. Europe should be a tremendous growth driver for Aurora for over the next 10 years. I also predict that Aurora will be a significant player in the US. Sure, the company appears to be dragging its feet now in getting into US hemp CBD market. My hunch though is that we'll see Aurora make some deals in the not too so distant future with big US companies that put it square and center in what would be a massive market within the next few years. My take is that Aurora will compete in the US marijuana market by 2029 as well. I don't look for the US to fully legalize cannabis. However, I do expect changes to federal laws that allow individual states to make their own decisions about legalization of medical and recreational cannabis. So if these assumptions are correct, the global cannabis market should be 100 billion or more by 2029. I think that with its production capacity, established operations, and the likelihood of partnerships deals with major companies, Aurora could capture at least 5% of the global market. That could give the company an annual revenue of around $5 billion. So if we use a relatively conservative price to sales ratio of the 4, that would put Aurora's market cap at 20 billion, more than 150% higher than where it stands today. Tweak the PS ratio to market share used in these projections a bit, and Aurora could be worth a lot more 10 years from now. So do I really believe that Aurora Cannabis will be a big winner in 2029? I do. Actually, I think that several cannabis companies will be big winners over the next decade. Some of them could even be more successful than Aurora. However, it's important to remember that there's a lot of assumptions I'm making that could prove to be wrong. Don't party like it's 2029 while there's still uncertainty how things will turn out. Prediction is very difficult, especially about the future. Well, anyways, that's my prediction for Aurora Cannabis in 10 years. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Also, your predictions if you guys want to let me know. And if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, smash that subscribe button. And that's it for now, guys. Bye-bye.